Greetings, my name is Tarla Bridget Squatting and I'll be presenting to you my final design of the COVID-19 indoor monitoring and regulation system. The basic operation of the system is that the system will monitor the number of people in the room and will also monitor the room temperature in the room. The first part of the system is the indoor monitoring part, where it will monitor the number of people in the room through counting up and down the number of people in the room and also detecting any movement towards the room. The temperature regulation part of the system will detect the room temperature and humidity in the room, and it will display it on the LCD, and it will ensure adequate ventilation through switching on the fan if the room temperature is above the normal, and then it will regulate the temperature back to normal. The block diagram proposed entails how the system works, and it clearly shows your inputs and your outputs, and what controls your system. As indicated here, it is the Arduino Uno, so it shows what our outputs are, which is our sensors, and it shows the outputs, which is your fan and your LEDs. And we have a detailed schematic of the project. We have the PCB, and we have the final flowchart of the project, which is clearly indicates the flow of the project, and it shows what starts and which process begins, and from there what's the next command. So we have a start, and then you're going to declare your variables in your code, and then you set your inputs and outputs, and you set your pins accordingly. And then so the system works simultaneously, even though when I demonstrate, I won't demonstrate it simultaneously. I'll just show the first part of the project, and then I'll then show the second part of the project. So the first part is the indoor monitoring part, where ultrasonic sensors that will one is going to count up the number of people entering the room, and then the other one is going to count down when someone leaves the room. And then we also have the server, which will be triggered by the number of people entering and leaving the room. And also we have the motion sensor. The motion sensor will also detect the movement towards the door, just to ensure that there is the right number of people in the room. And we also, under the temperature regulation part of the system, we have the DHT11 component that will detect the room temperature and the temperature and the humidity. And then from there, the temperature will, if the temperature is above 20 degrees, then the relay will be high and the fan will be on. And then the temperature will have to, the fan will have to regulate the temperature back to normal. And then if not, if the temperature is not 20 degrees and above, then the relay will stay low and the fan will not switch on, and then the temperature will be at a stable mode. And then we also have the Wi-Fi module, which is the ESP8266, that will capture all the data of the system and all your sensors, and just so whoever is in charge can monitor the number of people, can monitor the temperature in the room, and make sure that everything works accordingly. And also the system can be implemented anywhere, either at a household or at a working environment or in a lecture room, just so to ensure that there is the right number of people in the room, and also just to ensure that there is adequate ventilation. The operation of the system, the first part of the system is the indoor monitoring system, We have the ultrasonic sensor, which is counter up and down variables. So we have one ultrasonic sensor inside the room and one ultrasonic sensor outside. So the one is gonna count up and the other is gonna count down the number of people entering and leaving the room. The servo will open and close the door, and the motion sensor will detect any movement towards the door. As you can see on the serial monitor, it displays the number of people entering and leaving the room. So if the ultrasonic sensor detects any movement towards the door and it counts up or down the number of people, it's going to display on the serial monitor. Now moving on to the second part of the system, which is the temperature regulation system. We have the DHT11 component, which will detect the room temperature. As you can see, the temperature is 24 degrees and it is above the threshold. So I set it that if it's above 20 degrees, then the fan should switch on. And to regulate the temperature back to normal, so the fan will run up until the temperature is back to normal. Now this is a clear overview of the data from the ESP8266 Wi-Fi module on ThingSpeak. As you can see, we have our sensors, our counter variables, which is our ultrasonic sensors. We have the motion read, which is the motion sensor. We have the DHT11 sensor.